There you are. Look at that. There's the movie that we watched. What did you think? Manon of the Spring. What are you pointing to? That's the pointing at. I don't know what. Oh, I'm not talking. I'm talking. Yeah. And you can't talk? You want me to keep talking? Okay. I don't know why you want me to keep talking, because you're supposed to be half of this. So we watched Manon of the Spring, and it's a sequel to Jean de Florette, which we watched last month. Both of them were Jeff's choices, and they were excellent choices. Based on a book, Water of the Hills. And these two movies were filmed back to back, and I didn't realize that they were such a treasure to the French people. But they had won, I think it's called César Awards. That they're basically our Oscars. So, yeah, Jeff, what do you got to say? You got to say something. Come on, playing with me.
Really? I have to talk too?
Yeah.
That's not fair. Because see how long you would just go, run with it. Just take it. And
well, I can talk a lot, but only so much about certain things.
Only so much about certain things. I'm glad you got very specific there.
Certain stuff. Yeah, no, it was a very good movie again. It was the sequel, and I enjoyed it very much.
I think it was better than the first one because it answered the questions, tied it up in a bow in a really nice way. Like it just.
And at the very end, you get the crushing,
That's right. The little answer that answers things, puts it together, and then he lays down to die. And
yeah.
So there's a bit of exaggeration in the one description of the movie. It says they destroyed her father. Now they offered her love, but the only thing she desired was revenge. And it's just
they didn't offer her a love. That Ugelin did.
Yeah,
he was just crazy about her. The one part I didn't like about that is when he sewed the ribbon to his chest,
to his nipple.
Yeah.
When he died, he cut the ribbon.
Yeah, it was like okay, I kind of don't get. There must be some symbolism or something there, but it was like that
martyry kind of pain. You're feeling pain for it, and
sure, I don't know. I
wanted it close to her heart, and
yeah. But yeah, he didn't stand a chance, that poor guy. And he tried so hard.
Now, when the old lady was talking to him, the blind lady?
At the end, yeah.
Yeah, and she's talking to him. Her voice sounded exactly like Spock's Governor General. Remember when he had to go back to the planet because he's like a salmon, he has to breed? And then Kirk has to get into a fight with the woman who wants Spock. But
okay. Yeah.
Kirk. And this woman talks, and she didn't have a French accent in the Spock thing, but she had the same kind of delivery that I felt like playing them both side by side here. They sounded alike. Like they sounded like they were the same. As I'm listening to her, well, that's the same person. I'm sure it's not the same person, but man, did that voice ever sound like that other lady's voice. So I'll have to find a way of playing them side by side.
Yeah. No, they tied it up in such a bow. So when we left off with the first one, the hunchback, Jean de Florette, he died after his farm was basically what do you call that? It's not the word camouflaged. There's another word, sabotaged by the Soberans. I don't even know how to pronounce it, but the older guy and his nephew who want to have a dynasty, and they're hoping to one day carry on the family, and so they try and get the land cheap by sabotaging this young guy who's come back to try and farm, and he wants to raise rabbits, and the guy ends up dying in the pursuit of the water. So you end off the first film with the triumph of they got the water for next to nothing, so yay us. And it continues probably 10, 15 years later with the girl who still lives in the area, the daughter of the hunchback. And she's living probably with probably the same people who were in the first ones. I didn't know for sure if that causation was there, and I should have done more investigating with that. She's living in a cave with the lady, and it says she's a shepherdess, but she's got goats. And it's like, aren't you a goatess then or something? You're not shepherd, isn't that sheep?
I don't know that shepherding wouldn't be, if you type in definition of a shepherd, I would think it would be livestock or.
Sure, maybe. But anyways, what I thought, it was like, she's got goats, not sheep. And she's a good goat herder girl. And the guy comes to try and woo her. Ugalin falls in love with her and tries to woo her, and she wants nothing to do with him.
But so there's a couple of funny things in that. So he said to Ugalin, "You're over 30 now." And I'm sitting there thinking, well, that means when you say to somebody they're over 30 now, they're 31 or 32 or 33. You know what I mean? Like, you're not 39 saying you're
right.
now over 30. You've made it over 30 when you got to. So he's 31 or 32. And the little girl was what, 6 years old the last time?
Let's say 8.
So 8 years old, and now she's 18 at the very youngest, so that's 10 years. So that means Ugalin was 22 last time. He looked a lot older than 22.
Yeah. So, well, the thing is that they got to age the girl. Like, they filmed it back to back within like 8 months. So they had to get a replacement because they're not waiting for the girl to grow up. But both the nephew and what's that guy's name?
They took liberties with that age thing.
Yeah.
That was fine. They had to make the characters. The thing I was most entranced with this whole movie was how both Ugalin and she managed the hills.
Yeah, they just crumpled up there like goats.
As an actor and an actress, to sit there and fly down the hill like she did at this one point, just sort of skipping on her heels all the way down, and the way she got up a hill, it was effortless. And it reminds me of the first time I saw Anne playing piano at McMaster. I made some thing for Mom and Dad, and it was Anne playing the piano, and I got the music of it. And so I recorded that. And I'm at Mac and I'm recording it, and I realized she was playing the piano effortlessly because you didn't see anything happen. The notes came out bang, bang, dong, dong, yet her hands are like lightly fluttering over the keys like this. And I stopped her. I said, I don't get it. I can't make sounds by barely touching the keys, yet you make good sounds barely touching the keys. She goes, well, we're taught that. We're taught not to bang on it, but to figure out how to do that. And that's when I saw her going up the mountain. I'm going, she effortlessly went up this mountain like she did it 1,000 times. Yeah,
like she's not an actress doing it, but
that's right. But she was. She's this gorgeous girl who's obviously an actress who's probably never climbed a hill in her life. I mean, that's silly to say, but like she was just so good at it. Like that's what she practiced and practiced and practiced that.
The one thing she did not do well was play harmonica. That was
poor. She went on the wrong way to go. The scale went up and down and up and down. She just go in the one way across.
Yeah, and it's like, that one kind of grated on me a little bit, but it's like, okay, I'll just pretend that the sound hadn't caught up with the video or something, because that was a little disappointing. But they brought the mother back for the wedding, so that kind of wraps up that bit of the storyline. Villagers.
I was going to say that she met a new young man, came into town. He's a teacher at the school, bit of a geologist, and he then started trying to figure out what's going on with the hills. And she, because he's a young man and she's a young woman, she starts to fancy him, and he seems very polite and sweet and nice. And you did, I'm sure, sort of hoped for them to get together. That was we just seemed like a very good man, and she was a good woman, and you just like were crossing your fingers that something would work out there. And sure enough, they end up getting married near the end of the movie, and that was quite nice. And he was even kind to the old man when you remember he was walking. He goes, "I'll walk you back," and yet he would have heard all the stories from Manon. You know what I mean? He would have every reason to hate them, and yet he was just a kind person. And that really struck me. And
so I do some writing, and they have this thing that good writers show, don't tell. So when a guy comes on the screen, this young man, like, so what can we find out about him by you showing, not telling? Like, she doesn't say, "Oh my, you look like a smart, educated man. If you're a teacher, you must have gone to university, and that means you're real smart. And maybe I'm not smart enough for you." So like they don't have to say that. You know he's smart, but he says, "It's oh yes, the soil is bauxite powder with aluminum," and it's like, so he knows the difference between what bauxite is. So that's how they're telling us that he's smart and is a geology, and that they reveal the information in a more pleasant way than just saying, "Oh, it looks like you're real smart."
And she replied back with some very knowledgeable stuff, because she's been very quiet this whole time. You don't even know she's a dullard because she says next to nothing, but she reads it voraciously, is what we were told. In it. So she's obviously very intelligent and really well read, and like spend her time doing that. I liked learning that, figuring that out, like you said, not by being told it, but by watching it and putting together the fact that she's been quiet, but she reads, and now she obviously didn't just read romance novels. She read about the hills and the science and it was a good movie to finish off the first one.
Oh yeah.
And the first one, you were very sorry for her father.
Oh yeah, he dies, and it's like, oh, the poor guy.
All he did was wanted to come from the city and get his hands dirty in the country, and now you look back and he was drawn to that land, maybe because of his father, who was of that land.
Sure. So and I was going to say something and now it's gone. So he was, did you get the symbolism of she plugged up the spring just like they had plugged up the spring? So she plugged it up so that now Ugolin's carnation crop and the whole village has no water, and so she's exacting a sort of revenge. And if you noticed, Ugolin had to go get water just like her father had to go get water. I think they used the same path even.
Yeah, with the donkeys. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, talk about revenge.
Yeah. Now I don't know. So she played around with the water. Was she filling it up or opening it up and sending the water to her place?
I don't know. You couldn't really tell. She knew where the water was, though. So like, I mean, her goats didn't, starve or.
Yeah, but there was water up there. Remember, she was bathing in a little streamy, a lake pond kind of thing.
Yep.
There was water there, and whatever fed that.
Yeah. Well, she must have known where it was coming from and so on. But it to the town, it's gone. And so the repercussions, because the town was silent when her father was being, sabotaged and so on. They were as complicit as the people who stopped up the water the first time, but they kind of knew stuff, and so there was a complicitness with them as well.
They didn't like the hunchback, right? Like the idea of a hunchback coming in. He even said, I couldn't even look him in the eye. I never saw his face. I avoided him at all costs. And he didn't even know it was his son.
Yeah.
We found out later it was his son.
Oh, that was just stunning.
You know what was so stunning about it was the fact that he said, the letter you got. He goes, what letter? She goes, I know you know about the letter. Instead of just arguing about this letter, he said, I don't know about it. And she goes, I just don't believe you. And then he it was really obvious he didn't know. And she still said, I need you to swear again that you knew nothing about this letter before she goes and tells him what she's about to tell.
Yeah.
And so that that little question, because when she said it the first time, I'm sitting there going, oh, he must have known too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going in that he wanted to avoid it. And, and that wasn't the case. And so now he's blaming himself for even the hunchback. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yet you sort of want to blame the mother for the hunchback if she's like throwing her body down the cliffs.
Yeah, she was trying. Yeah.
And that's what, I don't know if that creates a hunchback or injures the baby in utero or whatever.
Might as well say it because it needs to be a plot point, right?
Right. I mean,
sure.
Banging a baby around is probably not such a great idea.
Right.
Like when you were snowboarding through the birth of your 6 children, right?
Yep. No problem. So the other thing I liked is when she got really angry and she set fire to the field, and the rain came and put the fire out.
Yeah.
And it's almost like God was saying, no revenge like that. You're not setting it on fire.
And it was the rain they were dying for, and now the rain stops her. Like the rain was your father's everything. It was the what he wanted, and then she gets it. And she ends up getting all the water in the end too. But and now they moved into the city, right? Because when she walked through that gate into that door, when he followed her right near the end, that's where they were living. So they weren't living up in the woods anymore. Yeah,
she wasn't living in the cave with the with the old lady. No,
she's like
went up in the world.
So then when the thing is when he decides. He's realized that he's killed his son or helped aided and abetted in the killing of his own son.
Yeah.
And his son dies from suicide, which back in that time, it was a stain on the family. Now it's not a stain on the family. If somebody commits suicide, you feel very sorry for the family. Back then you were mad at the family if somebody had suicide, because then they can't have the same church service,
right?
Against abomination kind of thing. So his son kills himself because he was in love with Manon, and Manon wanted nothing to do with him because they all came to realize that they were the cause of the water problem in the first place, which then brought them back to they diverted the water away from her father. She has no idea that that's her grandfather that she's talking to, and he just says, I'm gonna die tonight. He calls in the priest and says, I'm gonna die tonight. He goes, oh, you can't kill yourself, you're not allowed to. He goes, well, that's not gonna happen. I'm just gonna die because I don't want to live. Because
it's if it only was that easy, eh?
Yeah, no kidding, eh? It did feel final, like they had a he wrote his letter to give everything to Manon.
He's ready.
And said the sorry he needed to say. The best part of the story was I couldn't even look your father in the face. Couldn't even see him. Like, that's how much I was the chump in all this.
Yeah. And I hadn't really got the fact, I read it somewhere, that the day that he died was the day that Manon's baby was born.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so that was, or maybe that might have only been the book, but the other thing, at Manon's wedding, he bring red carnations to the wedding.
But he did.
No, he brought them, but he laid him on Ugalin's grave.
On the grave of his son. But you saw him walking up, and everybody's there taking a photo or something, and they're all lined up, and he's walking up in his sort of hobbly way.
And he's all alone.
Yeah, he's got nothing. Doesn't have a son. And it was very touching moment.
Yeah.
When that happened, and he goes to visit his son, he's with his son. I think that's when he sort of decided he was going to die. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So Ugalin was technically his nephew, I think.
Oh, that's right.
But he's treating him right. Like his son, and he's the last of the, I can never say the name, Subayan. Subayan. And he was saying that they were the only 2 left. He says, okay, I'll get a girl. Ugalin was, I'll do that.
Who's 20 years old, who's obviously way too your junior. You killed her father. You and I guess I could see his utter loss in it and hope for it. And he would do anything for her. And he thinks he's offering her something because of the money he saved up and the money he'll get from his uncle, and he thinks that's of value to her. And
yeah, and that's what she ends up getting.
yeah, she ends up getting it all. But
She gets what her father had and the people who plotted his ruin.
Yeah.
So I think the idea that, like, when you get to the very end, the idea that the regret that he plotted the ruin of his own son without knowing it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh man, can you live with any more regret than that?
And you could have been kind. Like, you just, it wouldn't have taken anything else. You could have said to him, let's share the spring or something. Come up with a lot of answers to your problems, but they thought that's what you just did, and you took and you convinced and you thwarted. And because I remember when we first started watching the first episode, and he's coming up with this plan. I'm because I don't know the people he's planning against at that moment, right?
Right.
You sit there and go, that's pretty good. Man, you buy it for cheap. Oh, I get it.
That's smart. Smart guy.
Businessman.
Yeah.
That's how business is done. And
it's surprised they didn't make him Jewish, because typically back then that's what they would have done.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That would have been a very
stereotypical thing to have done, especially back then. But no, there was good movie. I think I understand that there's a third one, but I don't think it's the same characters and stuff like that. I mean, the guy's dead. Yeah. And the other guy's dead, so that leaves her. So I don't know.
Yeah, how do you bring some difficulty into it now?
Yeah. But they did say it's a trilogy at one point or another. So I'm not exactly sure. I don't even know if it was filmed. It's certainly not filmed with all of the same people, because you can't do that. So, but apparently, I think he wrote the second part first, and then he made the first part a prequel, technically. Okay. So. Yeah. But studying literature, I'm sure the book was just as good, and they did such a good job. Apparently, this is one of the highest. It's a little bit like the Ben-Hur of the Hollywood, right? They
Francis Hollywood.
Well, it was expensive to make, and it was the best stars that they had and stuff like that. So that was.
I looked up what she had done. Emmanuel Bert. Which Bert, that sounds German or something, doesn't it? Bert.
Yeah, hard to say.
That's Karine was telling me her last name in French is the word German.
Okay.
Before she was married, before it was McLaren. So it meant the word German. So you grew up in France with the last name German. Like if my last name was Holland.
Dutch, yeah.
Yes, Jeff Dutch. And so, but of course, in the 60s, that was still a bad taste in your mouth from Germany.
Yeah.
So you're teased a lot growing up with the last name German.
Yeah. Well, I just finished reading The Diary of Anne Frank, and that was a good book too. Makes me want to, go get all the Anne Frank stuff that you can find, and I want to watch it.
Now, do you think that Anne Frank would have been a believer?
Believer?
You don't remember
Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
So what he did, he went to see the Anne Frank.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And he's there. And if you were a follower, you were a believer, right?
Yes, yes.
That was your thing.
Okay.
He's out there, and after he comes out and they're interviewing him, he goes, I really think that Anne Frank would have been a believer. And it just ruins what the story is, because it's about him.
Yeah.
He turns the story into, well, she would have liked me.
Yeah, well, I think what he was trying to say was she was just a regular girl, and but what came across is arrogance.
About me.
Yeah.
I want to sell myself in this moment.
Yeah.
In the Anne Frank moment.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do these. I call them rabbit holes. So I read the Diary of Anne Frank, and then I wanted to find the Stolpersteine, the little brass plaque. Where is that? It's in front of the place that they were hiding, and then I found one for Omiyan, our uncle. There's one in front of the family farm in Smelda because that's where he last lived, and he's considered a hero of the resistance. So he got this plaque. And then these two girls that I found, Martin's mom had a story about that with her family. I found their Stoperstania, and I found where it was, and it was just down the road from where her family farm was. So you can see that, oh, they just went down there and that's how they were friends. And there's where the train station was, where they stayed in hiding. And it's just interesting kind of, I like those rabbit holes of information.
I like lately I've been looking at YouTube videos about what happened after World War II in France, with the way they treated the women who went out with the German men. So a lot of the women, because for their own safety and
very lives sometimes.
And then, of course, the war's over, and now those women are hated, and they're a lot of times their heads were shaved, and they were stripped naked and painted on, and like just a horrific kind of treatment. And Corrine said she knew of a lady who that had happened to at the end of World War II. Obviously, would have been an older lady when she was younger, but she knew of somebody who was alone and treated that way, and people, probably spat as she walked by or whatever, still to that day kind of thing. Can you imagine how in the 60s, how close that was to the 45? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's still like that. We are further away from 9/11 than they were away from World War II,
right?
In their the mid 60s,
in their memories and so on.
Yeah.
Well, when I was in Smilda, we went walking through the graveyard, and there's a memorial for World War II people, and Omiyan is on there with a handful of other names, and we were walking past one of the stones in another section, and Klaus pointed to the name. And he said, "That's the guy who's responsible for Omiyan getting shot." And it's like, man, he had to live with that for the rest of his life.
And I was thinking this. I just had watched a documentary on two guys who were in airplanes shooting at each other in World War II, and they knew of each other, who they were, or they figured it out later or whatever. And then they became best of friends after the war. And it's so funny that everybody you're shooting at, you could be best friends with.
Yeah.
And you're for some reason, the world around you has told you to kill these people.
These are your enemies, and these are not.
They're not your enemies. And how can you not just tell both sides just to not listen to the authority anymore?
Just stop.
Just set it down. Go over, shake hands, and say, "I am not going to kill these people."
Yeah.
And don't do it. Like how does that not find a way of irking its way in?
Yeah.
Especially with the internet, you could talk to them all en masse.
Now, but that World War II, that didn't.
No, I know. I get it back then. Although the World War I, the famous Christmas Day soccer matches, and
they stopped fighting for Christmas.
Yeah, and played soccer against each other, and went back to killing each other, and that's the thing is how in this day and age, how does somebody not in Ukraine just tell both sides? On this day, everybody lay down your weapons and don't listen to authority anymore. Because if they all did it en masse, you couldn't get in trouble anymore. It's only because 5 of them do it, and 10 of them, and 50 of them do it, that you can get in trouble. But if every single person did it, government's screwed. You can't get mad at them.
Yeah. Well, even Anne Frank had lived in hiding in basically an office-y factory kind of place with another. They were 8 people in total, and someone turned them in probably about a year before the war. Maybe it was months, but it wasn't at the beginning of the war. So someone had turned them in, likely for $2 or whatever it was. But at that point, $2 was going to get food for somebody's family because they were starving.
Yeah,
they were eating bad food, stuff that was rotten. They would eat it anyways because they had nothing else, and so it was. It was just as. I can't fathom it. I believe it, but I can't fathom it.
Yeah, there's no way, unless you go through that, you could even dream up how difficult that would be, and how your family is relying on you. It was like when Tessa was getting bit by the pit bull, and she turns back and is crying and looking at me like, I'm relying on you to solve this problem.
Yeah.
And I have to now solve this problem.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, this is not a good position to be in.
Yep. And there's people and your actions have repercussions during the war. If you say yes to this person, you might set a chain of events that just ruins everybody. And you had the best of intentions. You're just trying to do, what you think is going to keep you alive and your family okay. So, yeah. I wonder if the World War II, what we learned and the stories we heard about Holland, whether it's the same now in Ukraine and in Israel and Palestine, or whether it's a different level of, warfare that is not the same as World War II, like, because now there's drones and other things that make it different. But I wonder how different it is.
It's not really an occupation like World War II was, like say in Holland.
Yeah.
It was occupied, and therefore you have these people who you don't want in your country, forcing that dichotomy in you to rat on them or get food, or like if you think this is going to be the future, you would rat on them for doing the wrong thing. Like, these people are in the underground. I don't want that, because we're all going to be killed if we keep doing this underground stuff. Let's just live with Germans being our overlords for 100 years or whatever it takes, and we can go on about our business, the daily tasks, and get them done. It's funny. I think I'm much more that kind of guy. When I look at it, I'm not a political. I like spouting politics and talking about it, but I'm not a political activist-y kind of person. I would never go to a march.
No, I am not a marcher.
Or anything. I will open my mouth and pretend I know what I'm talking about, and that's the limit I go to.
Well, my problem with marches, like, and that's even any kind of tribalism or picking a side to go on. Like, I could be out agreeing with a whole bunch of things you say, but it only takes one wackadoodle in that group to be adding another layer to it. And now it's like, well, that's like, especially being a Christian, you have all kinds of people who say, yeah, I'm a Christian too, but I think we should kill abortion doctors. And it's like, no, so how do you be part of a tribe that can't think? We can't all think exactly alike about every single thing. So it's hard to say, oh, I want to be part of any group, politics, or anything that would be the potential for being so wrong.
My issue is the madness of crowds. They will madden each other up and just ramp it, and something you would never do on your own. Yeah. When you have 10 people all around you, all punching at somebody, you think adding that punch would be a good thing because it's your tribe that's all trying to punch this person.
Right.
So you then think that's okay, because obviously all your fellow people who are in your tribe think that's a great idea. On your own, you would never punch anybody.
Right.
You just wouldn't do it. And that madness of crowds is
whenever I see like scenes where a mass shooter comes out and starts shooting people, it's like I'm hitting the deck and pretending I'm dead. Like, I mean, that's going to be what I do on my own. But if I have people who I love with me, maybe you're trying to protect people, and then that becomes another whole thing.
Well, it'd be good if you had people around you who you love, because then you could use their body to protect
hold them in front of the bullets.
Yeah, exactly.
And it helps, and you and I everyone would love us because there's more body to go through than some skinny little person
behind. I keep the skinny people in front of me, and then just sort of pretend I'm dead underneath them.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'm joking anyway.
I think so.
Find out how much it's a joke or it's real.
It has not been tested yet. We'll see if YouTube says, well, just like my one story, Twitter said, oh, caution, this could be sensitive material, and it's like, it's killing my plants. It's not. I'm not a good plant keeper, aliver person.
Well, my TikTok was all about that book, Suicide Kills.
Yeah.
We got downed so much because the word suicide was a prominent word in my TikTok. And so it never got out to a lot of people.
Right.
Purpose thing from their point of view. And I get why they don't want to do.
Yeah, every once in a while I'll do a walking thing and it'll get 1,500, and it's like the rest of them is like 200 or whatever, and then sometimes in 600. But it's like, why did that one get 15 or 12? Like, I don't get that.
You were gonna test that. Remember, you said the word Ukraine or Ukrainian flag?
Well, I did that, and that's the one that did. But I have to think of something else.
You have to think of something like talking about Bieber, or.
Well, it's got to be something more popular, and
don't say that about Bieber. He won't like to hear that he's not popular anymore.
No, well, he's different. Taylor Swift. I walk really swift like Taylor. But I also don't want to be one of those people who hashtag something that it really has nothing to do with it.
Just say it. Just talk about Taylor Swift again and say, here's where I'm going to mention Taylor Swift. I'm going to see if that helps
makes a difference.
Yeah, and makes any kind of difference. And then in my next one, I won't say a thing. And the one after that, I'll talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs or something.
Right. Okay, if someone looks up Stanley Cup's playoffs, you hashtag Stanley Cup's playoffs. It's this woman walking and just saying the word just so that she can get. So I don't like that at all. But so today when I was walking in Brantford, I walked past a phone booth, and it's like, a phone booth? We haven't seen phone booths in forever. So it's like, it wasn't until after I'm like, that's crazy. There's no such thing as phone booths anymore. And it's like, oh yeah, Brantford is called the telephone city.
Oh, that's maybe that's what
Shoot, I forgot about that.
Keep it up.
Yeah, so I have to put that video up yet. I just filmed it today because I was.
The phone booth in the video.
I took a picture of the phone booth.
Oh, okay, good.
So I said, I've come across something I haven't seen very much of, and then I stopped the video.
How do they do a Doctor Who nowadays in the UK when there's no phone booths around? You're gonna have a current day.
They can't.
You can't step into a phone booth.
Or Superman too.
What's that in the real world? Bus shelter?
Shelters, sure.
Your bus shelter would be the
community pantries for the hungry and the homeless to eat.
A storage locker.
An encampment tent is what.
Yeah.
So this is we're saving this one for Superman in case he wants to come along.
Yeah. So
next month I get to pick.
You get to pick a movie that you connect with another movie. I made mine about the easiest connection ever. In fact, before I mentioned the other movie, you knew what it was going to be because you said, "Did you know there's a?"
Yeah. Well, no, you could have said, "I'm picking another first one," and it's.
I could have found something else that I wanted to connect the two.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I said, "Do you know what connected them?" And you'd go, "I have no idea." And I go, "Well, in the first one, they spoke French, and in the second, they spoke English." And it's the two languages.
Yeah, that both Canada is proud to claim both of those languages.
That's right. And I hope you realize that was the connection. But
there you go.
Very, very easy connection. Hopefully, you give me an easy connection this time.
Well, don't want to make it too easy, and you. Oh, okay. You'll find part 1 and part 2.
Hey, so pick the French Connection, part 1, and then we can wonder what you're going to do next.
No, I'll pick the Phantom Menace, although you don't have that up on MB. So, and then the last one is The Last Jedi.
Oh.
There's only 4 other movies in there? No, 9. There's 9 in total, so there's 7 more movies from the first to the last Star Wars movies.
I saw the first one in the theaters maybe 6-7 times. Never seen any of the others.
There's one, the second last one. So my kids went to see it and they didn't tell me, and it's like, I'm so glad they didn't tell me because I was completely flabbergasted.
What, when you saw it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Something happened and it's like, oh, I'm so glad they didn't tell me because I was like, nobody told me.
But doesn't Disney now own Star Wars?
I think so.
Yeah, and it's gotten woke and
everything's gotten woke.
They have the rainbow Star Crusader ships and
someday that's gotta, I won't say stop, but I think one thing got canceled and then they uncanceled it just recently. What was it? It was something fairly recent that they had said, okay, we're not anymore. And now they said, oh, okay, well, maybe we will. It was a person or a movie or something.
Ryan Reynolds got in a lot of hot water. What's his character, who he plays?
Deadpool?
Yeah, and the first and the second were straight up movies. And the third one, they put all this woke stuff. In fact, they wanted Taylor Swift in it, and for her to have a cameo and then a bigger role in it. And yeah, it's all so they can get other people to do it. And it's like we're forcing it in. And he got all upset, going, "Don't do that. We have a really good system here. You've gone blurred." Oh no, you're
yeah, you froze for a minute. So
okay. So yeah, they're wrecking things because it's the people who are in charge. Did I showed you that South Park, right? The
no.
Oh, I have to give you tell you which South Park it is then, because it's what's it called? Has to do with the woman who's running Disney. Oh, I can't remember the episode.
Okay, it's the swimmer.
No.
I that's the thing I was thinking of. That swimmer who was
Riley Gaines or whatever.
No, wanted to swim as a woman, even though he was biologically a man.
Yeah, Riley Gaines was swimming against him.
Yeah,
she's the new spokesperson for.
Right, but now they've changed that so that person is not allowed to be, if you're genetically or whatever it is, male, you're not supposed to be playing against females. And I think it's just swim thing. It's not the name. I don't know.
Yeah, I know that guy. There was another one in Canada where a guy who's 50 years old wants to swim with 14-year-old girls, and he was allowed to. And people came up and like news people came up and tried to interview people who are running the swim meet, and they're all kicking him out of the swim meet thing and calling the cops on him. And he's going, people need to know this. You have a 50-year-old guy who says he's a 15-year-old girl and he gets to swim against them and change with them. And you're just letting him, and you're just all falling into it, you freaking idiots.
Yeah.
So it's called Joining the Panderverse.
Okay. So this is Leah Thomas is the person who was born male and becomes female and now wants to swim with the females, even though her body was genetically
So
made it not fair.
The South Park episode is about the Panderverse, which is how they have the what is it, the multiverse.
Yes.
Now. And so you just make a movie up and then you go, oh, a superhero comes out of this dimension to save us because they came in from the multiverse, and the Hulk is now there, able to thwart the bad guy just because he can show up. So they're making nonsensical things. As Panderverse is pandering to the multiverse, and so it's all about Disney and how the one woman, I forget her name, who was hired in every movie, she goes, oh, well, make them gay and make them black and gay, and that's how we're gonna make this movie better. And they kept doing it. So that's what happens. Cartman becomes her. He goes through the multiverse, the Panderverse, and now he's the Disney spokeswoman. But as that's going on, they have a second one going on, which is incredibly funny. It's the rise of AI taking all our jobs. So one of the main fathers on South Park needs his kitchen stove hinges fixed, and he can't do it himself. So he calls the handyman. Well, the handyman comes over and he's looking at it and he goes, yeah, I can fix it, but I need a part and I'll have to come back and do it. And he goes, well, come back now because the wife is ranging on him to get the oven door fixed. And he goes, no, I can't. So then he finds out later that this handyman is so busy he can say no to jobs. Like he wouldn't try to bribe him and say, give you $50 right now to come back. He goes, no, he'd pay me $100 to come to his place. And so more and more of this money happens. So by the end of the show, that handyman and another handyman are incredibly rich and paparazzi are following them. And at the Home Depot are people going, I'm a geologist. I will do geology for
you.
for money. And so I'm an accountant. Please hire me. So all the AI jobs that have taken those jobs away. It's so that the handyman, they actually sit there and they go, well, I bought this network, and the other handyman goes, I bought that network. He goes, let's have a martial arts fight, because that's what Elon Musk and Zuckerberg were going to do. So that's what happens to these two guys. They want to fight each other. It's so well done that AI has ruined the world. And if you know how to use your hands, you are fine. And if you don't, using your head is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. Yeah. And it's true.
Okay.
Where is a lawyer in 10 years? Like, what use is a lawyer in 10 years?
I don't know. We'll see. We need one. We have to redo our wills. So this is the pick people younger, because we had a lawyer and he retired, and I think he gave it to his son, and then he retired, and so he gave it to a woman. So she's the one who has our thing. She's in Mississauga. Can't find her anywhere. She hasn't. We have to apply to the bar association to find out where she. So we're getting a new one. So the guy down the road, he's a new one. So we said on the sign it's Furnow. It says, oh no, he died. Okay, so his partner took over, and he just retired. So his partner took over, and it's like, how old is he? Because if he's over 50, we're not interested. It's a simple will.
But so here's the thing: in the future, you don't need lawyers, because we'll all trust AI much better than a person making judgments. Because right now, people are thwarted by silliness. But like people already agree they'd rather get medical advice from AI than an actual doctor.
Probably.
Because AI will be honest with you. They're not going to, try and sugarcoat it or ignore certain things, or they will just tell you what's going on.
You are fat. Will they say you are fat? Stop eating junk.
Exactly.
I don't know. Is AI bold enough to do that?
Well, you could say to AI, be bold with me. And it goes, okay. Like that. That's the thing is, ultimately with AI, you can converse with it on whatever level you want.
Right.
You could say, be like my parent, be like my best friend and prop me up, and be like that. Mm-hmm. That's the whole idea. When you have general artificial intelligence, and they do whatever you say, they can do whatever you say. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing, that they are sort of pre-programmed with this, we'll say the subconscious, it's a terrible word to use, of what come in.
The prevailing thoughts.
You can give them right-wing, feed them right-wing stuff all day, and they'll think that's more right. Feed them left-wing stuff, and they'll think that's what's normal. Yeah. Just feed it the world, and then it'll go figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the great things about Elon buying Twitter that nobody really gets, is by having Twitter, you have a real world, real time sentiment data. You know what's happening real world, real time, about sentiment of what's going on, how mad people are at certain things.
Right.
How happy they are at certain things, how frustrated they are when this whole GM plant got shut down.
Yeah.
Going, good, that means GM's not wasting so much money. Or are they going, this is terrible, I hate what's happening. I'm not going to buy a new house. Like, that's valuing that sentiment can happen in real time on Twitter. And I mean, the last second real time. Everybody else, it's a lot more delayed. And that's what he has with Grok, his AI tool in Twitter. That's what he can do with it. That's very different from everybody else's.
Right.
He has that data.
So Manon of the spring to AI, the Twitterverse.
I'm going to send you that South Park thing. You've got to watch it. It's freaking hilarious.
Did you see the All in the Family cast? They did a parody kind of on.
Yeah.
That was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, I said that to Stacy, and because I knew she would like that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that somewhere 10 years ago, or
it could be.
Where did I come across that? Like, it's the weirdest thing that when I saw it, I went, how come I heard it?
I think I've seen that before.
Yeah. But where would I have come across that? Maybe somebody was on Mike Douglas or a talk show, and then they played that as a little intro to it or something. Yeah.
Well, when you gave me years ago the movie HR Puff and Stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I sang the theme song by heart, except for like a half of one line or something that I was going, I can't remember that. But I knew the whole thing. And it's like, I could not have seen that anywhere. It was on in the 70s and there was no reruns. So there's no chance for me to watch the opening credits anywhere until you gave me that movie. So it's like, how could you remember the words?
There's a song I would have learned when I was maybe grade 11, 12, because I remember listening to it in my bedroom, recorded it off the radio, and then I played it over and over and over again in my head. Never heard it since listening to it off that tape.
Right.
And
what's it called?
It's called, by Frank Zappa, called Titties and Beer. And I know
I wouldn't know that one.
I know almost all the words still to that song. I could list them off.
Do you remember the first album you bought?
I don't.
I think I do.
Okay.
So we used to buy a fair amount of those K-Tel records, but I'm not talking about that. I believe my first one was Queen's
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, the A Night at the Opera it was called.
Yeah.
And I think yours was Elton John's Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboys.
Yeah, that could have been.
I think so. Like, I'm pretty sure that, because we were both kind of like, well, I want to listen to that one too. Oh, I want to listen to that one too. So we shared it in a little bit.
Yeah, I want to ride my bicycle. When I remember hearing that song and going, what? And they're getting away with calling this rock music?
Is that Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah, though they had some strange stuff, boy.
But have you seen that Queen movie?
Well, didn't we watch? We did not watch it as. Did we watch it as one of our movie reviews? I think we did. Because I remember deciding to put it up on my blog or not.
Queen or Elton John?
It wasn't Elton John.
I would have thought Elton John if I were to pick from the two. I don't remember it being Queen though, because I remember watching that, I think with Debbie, but I don't remember watching it a second time. They were both great movies, the Elton John one and the Queen one.
I haven't seen the Elton John one, I don't think.
Oh, very good. You'd really like the Elton John one.
I don't know how to search on my. I just say what month it is. I'd have to go look up the other thing. But I'll have to do that sometime. But yeah, anything about Anne Frank, I want to watch now.
Yeah.
The things I find, I call them rabbit holes. So I found that thing in the West Lincoln Review of our dad running for office as an alderman.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So if you call them rabbit holes, what do rabbits call them?
I know, human holes.
No, because they don't go down human holes. We don't make holes.
They also aren't on the internet, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, but they call it home, but they wouldn't call it home because that's not what's weird. So a rabbit hole means going down some long and windy thing. A mouse hole, maybe a mole hole.
Yeah, because the rabbit holes, I think, are known for having, well, and other animals too, but they have false places. You go down the hole and you think you're there, but they've actually has a little room off to that to take you away so that you can go and get out.
Right.
So I believe that's they have interconnecting tunnels and stuff so that it becomes
secrets in it.
Yeah, that it's not an obvious place, but you have to know the way. Okay, so we went so far off topic that
we can stop. Manon of the Spring, great movie, great series. Jeff wins picking the
absolutely
wins victory. VICTORY victory is our cry. Are we champions? Well, I guess.
Yes,
Martin,
we are.
Martin Central. Yes. I think that's how it goes.
Caser Center. Yes.
HDCH. Yes.
No,
we didn't have any sports teams.
Oh, they did, but we had cheerleaders back then. Yeah, they don't anymore. At HD, my friend Anita Westerhoff was a cheerleader.
But for what? You wouldn't have football teams.
No, not football. We had soccer and basketball.
But there's no. There's cheerleaders in basketball, I guess, but there's no cheerleaders in soccer.
Oh yes, they had soccer games. Pauldale was
No, but,
they
no,
were
but
playing
watch the
against
soccer
Great Lakes.
game.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they were.
No, but I'm talking about in the real world in soccer games, there are no cheerleaders.
No, but at
There are a little
HB
bit
back in the 70s, there were.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They're just trying to find a way of faking that.
No, you're wrong. You're right. I'm wrong.
You're sorry.
Wasn't that the Fonz who says I'm can't say I'm wrong.
Okay.
I'm good. I'll see you next month.
Yes, we shall do it.
Goodbye to our fans.
Yes, all
Fan.
one of them.
Yeah, I think it's Stacy.
Yeah, I think so.
I know she's yours. I don't got any.
Yeah, you gotta.
We had
Francis.
we had Francis. We had Francis.
Yeah. She's not watching anymore. Or she is.
I think she had a problem with her computer. It didn't have any sound or something. So, and then I haven't heard anything. People aren't quick to comment on.
If that's our second viewer, we should be giving them a free computer.
You would think so.
Of course. Or we should put closed captioned up. I should have turned it on for this whole thing that she could watch it with closed captioned.
I don't know if she's that interested still. She might have moved on to other things. I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm pretty sure that might have happened.
Well, for all our legion of fans who don't have the sound working that day, or they want to watch us at work and not interrupt anybody else, they can put closed captions on. I should turn them on from now on.
Okay, from now on. Can't you add it later?
I don't know. There's a closed caption button. Let me hit it here. And as I talk, maybe this will get closed. They've been turned on. Yeah, they're coming up at the bottom of the screen. Can you see them?
I don't see them. I can't see any of them. But you must be able to see them because you're the originating thing. But quite often I'll see, like on my TikTok videos, sometimes the closed captioning. So one of my favorite one is I did something. I did this funny thing for a church, and I was saying the Yoldersmas, and it said the yogurt smash. That's the wording that it translated as Yoldersma.
Well, here it was older SMS. That's what Yoldersma was. Older SMS.
Okay. Cool.
Now it was older smoke.
Yeah.
Yoldersma.
Yoldersma.
Joldersma.
No, Yoldersma.
Ah, it got for me. It said the word Joldersma. It actually typed out Joldersma the proper way.
Cool.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Well, that was a way to extend the thing for another minute or two.
Let's see if they come up at the end. That'd be fun to see. Okay. Bye-bye.
Yeah. See you.